of this sort exists in the corporate world as well, then I'm definitely going to take this up as my career. That's how it all started.
Okay. So after that session, what pursued you to do it? Like you, everybody needs a push in the right direction, right? So what motivated you?
Uh, Okay, one of the reasons could be I was working in an account and I did not like the work much. And another reason is I also found a lot of communication skills trainers who are working for my account. So from the same project, when I could find those communication skills trainers, it became a great motivation for me. I approached them day in and day out and asked them for suggestions to take baby steps to shift my career. And based on their suggestions, I started working. And it's one of those trainers who told me about Cambridge CELTA certification as well. And that's how it all started to unfold.
Uh, what exactly is a CELTA certification? Can you tell us more about it?
CELTA stands for Certificate in English Language Teaching to Adults. If you want to be a corporate trainer, it's not a very significant certification. However, if you're interested in English language teaching, then that's the best certification that you can go for. It's a 1 month long certification program. So 4 weeks continuous intensive program. It happens at some of the British Council centers in India, and Cambridge University conducts these sessions. And here you get to learn a lot about different teaching methods. Uh, the most important focus in CELTA is the learner-centered approach. So, most important thing that we learn here is in any language class, the teacher's talking time should be very less, and the student should be talking more.
Was that the technique that the BBC took up as what was
Uh,
the learning technique? Sorry.
Well, yeah, sure. Thank you. It was one of the teaching tips that I shared with BBC. It was about one of the activities that I conduct to enhance the fluency of the students. That is what I had shared with BBC, and it was a very simple activity which I had learned from one of my trainers. It's all about how do you convince someone to do something. And that activity that I had shared with BBC is called King of the Castle. So when the king asks you where should I build a castle, one team works and comes up with numerous ideas to tell the king that the king has to build a castle in the coastal region, and another team works and tells the king that the king has to build a castle on the mountains. So the teacher plays the role of the king, and the teams try to convince the king with various answers, and their rivals who support another idea also get a chance to rebuttal. And this is how they agree, disagree, express their opinions. So a lot of functional language comes into play this way when I conduct this activity.
Okay. So starting from there, how would you say your journey has been so far?
Uh, okay, so as soon as I completed the certification, what I felt was, well, now I have done one of the best certifications, so I must be getting a job in one of the British Council centers or any language school very soon. And as a result, I did not get any job for 3 months. I tried freelancing in that period of time, and finally, I landed in one of the corporates as a communication coach. I worked there for almost 3 years, and simultaneously, I was trying to get a job at various language schools. And finally, I landed at King's Learning, which is one of the good language schools that we have in India. So now they are teaching through an app called Nguru. So that's where I started working as a full-time English language teacher. It took almost 7 attempts for me to clear an interview to get through and start working with these learning.
We have a question from one of our dreamers who are viewing this. Kushal Maurya. He wants to know what caused you to pursue engineering and what was your dream back then before realizing this dream.
Great. Hi, Kujal. Good question. I My dreams were quite varied. Every year, when I was in fourth standard, I wanted to do something. When I was in 10th standard, I wanted to do something. When I completed 12th standard, I did not know what I wanted to do. And when you do not know what you want to do, or obviously you land in engineering, especially if you're uh, in a place where most of your cousins and friends, everyone is choosing engineering. So that's how I landed in engineering. I did have an affinity towards English even earlier, but not to an extent of taking it up as a career. Even today, I wonder if I would have shined by taking up English literature. Today, what I teach is not literature. What I teach revolves around communicative approach of English, wherein I teach listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. So again, there's a certain level of gap between literature and this. So I did not have much of a dream earlier, but then when I started working, I found an opportunity and I realized like this is what I wanted to do.
Uh, Balaji, I saw that you're still conducting sessions for you're conducting IELTS training for children even during the COVID period. And how has the lockdown situation impacted your career as such?
Well, as I'm currently an hourly paid teacher, I have this luxury of conducting other sessions on my own. So I'm conducting some of the online sessions. The institution is closed, but then the world is open. So now online you could teach anyone who is across the globe, and it has opened a wide area for you. You have a wider audience now, and in addition to that, we need not treat it as a finite resource. Just because there are other 100 teachers who are teaching online, I need not think that I wouldn't get students. The world has infinite resources, and the universe will put things together for you if you are determined to achieve whatever you want to achieve. And IELTS classes cannot be conducted for children because only those who are above the age of 16 can take it up. I'm conducting some other courses related to grammar and listening skills and fluency online. IELTS speaking is predominantly for adults. So I'm getting a quite a good response for these sessions. I advertise through my acquaintances and also through platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So just through these platforms, I'm advertising for my sessions, and I'm quite happy to start with. As I've very recently started with conducting these sessions online. Even getting 5 or 6 students is indeed a good number to start with. What matters is the consistency. Keep conducting it, and eventually one day you will be getting a lot of students.
We have a few questions from our viewers.
Mhm.
They want to know about the setbacks. Okay, actually, they want to know about the setbacks and the challenges you faced while shifting careers, and what pushed you to make the switch.
Uh, okay, so the challenges and setbacks. Let me divide it into two categories. First, let me talk about the setbacks. I informed you that I made 7 attempts to get through King's Learning interview, and it wasn't different for British Council. I have applied several times before I got through, and now as well, it is an hourly paid job. Still, I really enjoy it. I'm quite happy that I made it. And every interview that I failed is a learning experience. So instead of saying that I have been failing in many interviews, I used to say that I have been learning from a lot of interviews, and that is how I learned various aspects related to teaching from every interview that I attended, from every question that was asked by the program directors and the interviewers during these interviews. And more importantly, when I have now reached here, and this has opened a whole new world to me. Uh, Observing lots of senior teachers is giving me a great experience here. And regarding I think the other question was on challenges. Yes, uh, challenges could be divided into a couple of categories. One of that is the social challenge. Uh, are you sure you want to quit your IT job and start teaching? Uh, I mean, how does it work? Does it pay well? Uh, will you be able to make the ends meet? Um, Are there enough opportunities? Is that a good idea? So all these questions keep coming in from the society and also from your own brain. But what you need to do is when you know that this is going to be make you a lot more happier than something else, then just stick to it. Money is not going to get you happiness. When you do something wholeheartedly, money is going to follow after a certain period of time, not immediately. Had I continued with the IT profession, I could have jumped to different companies for a decent hike every 2 or 3 years, and I could have been earning more than what I earn now. Uh, but then, when you can get something that money cannot buy, satisfaction and happiness through your job, then I think you need to forget about the other comments and just follow your heart. And actually, when you find out that you really enjoy doing something, the comments from others would not bother you at all. You will just start proceeding with whatever you want to achieve, ignoring all the comments that you get to hear. So financial, I did cover that part a little bit. We should not worry about that at the initial stage, but whenever you jump careers, just ensure that you have sufficient backup. So probably if you're quitting a job and deciding to explore something new, then maybe you should have saved for at least 6 months. Yes. So you follow your heart, but use your brain as well. So you should have saved at least for 6 months. That is one important point. You should have tried your hand at it by conducting some sessions on weekends and whenever you got free time. So these are some of the things that you should have done to ensure that you're financially secure before you take risks. So financial dependency shouldn't be there on in terms of taking loans or in terms of depending on someone else when you take this shift. So ensure you save and ensure you can do well. And if you're switching to another job, just ensure that you do not get a salary which is lesser than what you are getting before. Uh, Only that much you can ensure when you are deciding to switch from one career to another. I think these two are the major challenges that you might face, and I have given you the solutions as well. Yeah.
One of our viewers, Wilson Lloyd, wants to know uh, the shifting careers. Uh, did you consider your family and your dependents? Like, did it not impact them?
Uh, Okay. Wilson, luckily, I did not have dependence exactly. So my father is working. My mother had been working for 20 years as a teacher of English, so she's definitely one of my inspirations. So and I ensured that I had enough financial backup. So even if there was any requirement within the 6 months, I would have been able to help them support them financially within that gap. But luckily, in a span of 3 months, I got another job for the same salary that I was earning earlier.
Uh, Tahak would like to know, was there any point in your career where you felt like like choosing English was not the best decision and you wanted to go back to the IT sector?
Uh, Not exactly. So I have never felt like I shouldn't have taken this up because every class is a very satisfying experience for me, especially when I see the students being able to use the language at the end of every class, and they go back home with a better confidence. It's indeed one of the best things that ever happened to me. So for 1 hour of class, I tend to prepare at least for 2 to 3 hours. So this includes checking the relevant materials, checking whether it's appropriate for that class, and if the age group is very varied, we'll have to be even more careful with the content. So all these things matter a lot, and we come up with relevant topics that would go well with the crowd, and they should also be able to use the language that I'm trying to teach. All these things put together can take up to 2 to 3 hours of preparation time, but I really enjoy doing it. And when I'm in the class or when I'm preparing for a class, I never realize what's happening around me because uh, I forget almost everything when I am in a class. So I never thought that it's a bad decision that I took.
Okay. So you would definitely say that you're content after your reality started aligning with your dreams. How would you say you feel?
Okay, so I'm certainly contented. I think to a lot of people, I have spoken to them about my wish to be a teacher at British Council. And yes, indeed, this place has opened a lot of opportunities for me and has helped me to explore a lot of hidden potential in me. Gives me a lot of opportunity to observe senior teachers' classes and learn from them. And we also have dedicated mentors and very supportive managers and helpful senior staff, I'd say. Uh, and a discussion in the staff room always revolves around something like this. I'm really not sure if this content would be helpful for this class. Uh, could you help me with something relevant to this? So I'm not sure the students are not able to get this particular point. Could you tell me if I can do something else to help them understand this point? Uh, is there any other activity that I could conduct so that the learners can practice this language in the correct manner? So all the questions revolve around the learner centered approach. So, what could be helpful for the learner rather than saying, no matter how many times I tell them, they keep repeating the same mistakes. So, that's never the point of discussion. It's always about what could the teacher do to ensure that the learners help each other, the learners are able to understand things. So, this is the kind of environment that I've always wanted to work in, and British Council is one of the best places, wonderful environment. I have never seen any teacher who sounded dejected or depressed. And even if it is so very occasionally, it wouldn't be for more than a few minutes. They spring back to life in less than 5 minutes, and then they are all set to prepare for their next class again. It's a fantastic place to work, and that way I would definitely say that my dream and reality were quite aligned when I started working with the British Council.
Uh, how different would you say it is from your previous career? Now, the way you spoke about English, you clearly spoke about it with like a glow in your eyes, and you're very passionate about it. So, how did you feel when you were working in the IT sector?
So in the IT sector, my job involved it was a level zero support. So it was a simple work but huge volume. I would have a tiring 9.5 hour shift, and I did get cabs. I did work in rotational shifts, uh, but the so-called satisfaction, I don't think I ever had. I was not very delighted about working in doing that job at all. Yeah, and I did that only to do justice to the salary that I was getting. So now it's completely different. There is something beyond salary which is driving me to work. And I think every dreamer has that. Something beyond money should drive you to work, but then don't forget your brain. Ensure that you earn at least sufficient. It should never be lesser than what you are earning before.
Uh, have you been able to use the knowledge you gained in the IT sector in the field of education? Like there are a lot of changes that have been brought about in education too because of technology. So, what have you been able to use?
Certainly. I mentioned earlier that online classes I'm able to conduct with ease, a little bit because of the experience that I had in IT. And in addition to that, I had an opportunity to listen to various accents as I worked in global support. That has indeed helped me a lot. And it is actually one of those days which made me feel that would I really be able to become a teacher of English? Because one of the first, one of the during one of the initial days of my IT career, I received a call from someone in Britain, and the person told me something, but I couldn't understand. I said, "Could you repeat that for me?" Uh, I didn't understand again. Then I asked, "Would you mind repeating it for me?" Repeated, but then I did not understand. I said, "I'm extremely sorry. Could you repeat that for me?" And the person said, "Can I talk to someone else?" That was a shocking moment for me because I could not understand what he was speaking. He could not understand what I was speaking. Then I wondered if I would really be able to uh, take up English language teaching as a career when I myself am bad at listening and also speaking in a comprehensible manner. But I started listening to BBC Radio several times a day. First time I did not understand even a word. Second time I understood something better. Third time even better. Sixth time I understood what they were talking about. 10th time I listened to the same news feed. I got the complete idea of the news. And that news was about the referendum which was happening in Ukraine. Uh, USSR was conducting that, Russia was conducting that referendum, and the BBC reporter at the end of the news used to say, "This is Nalan Kumarasamy for BBC News." This person is definitely not a British, so I wanted to know about him. I googled his name and figured out that he was a refugee from Sri Lanka who was in the UK. He had grown to a level of becoming a reporter with BBC, so I thought my dream would also be possible. And I continued to listen to BBC, and yes, that's how I ensured that I did not give up on my dream.
Okay. It took you several attempts to get where you are. So obviously there would have been a voice in your head where you thought, "Will I succeed?" And so this is a question we all think of at, at least one point in our life. So how would you answer it?
Would I succeed? Yes, I have had it several times, but as soon as I got an opportunity to teach, let's say I think about this. would I be able to succeed? And then a few minutes later, or a few hours later, or the next day, I get a chance to teach someone online or at the center or anywhere. Uh, then it completely changed my thoughts. So after every class, I do reflect on my teaching, what went well today, what did not go well today, how do I need to change my teaching methods, and with these kind of reflections I do. And these factors indeed help me to understand that it is not that it wouldn't work for me. There's still something that I'm missing in my approach towards teaching. So just continue to go with the learner-centered approach. Then I'm sure I would be able to clear it. That's what I used to think. And the most important factor is success greets you when you least expect it. The last time when I got selected for British Council, I sent the application, and I barely had hopes of getting through. But then I did get through. I was called for an interview. After the interview, I was a little confident, but then again a little skeptical. I wasn't very sure. But then I just continued with whatever I was doing, and I was called for a demo. And I attended the demo, and then again I wasn't very sure. So I just kept teaching wherever I was teaching, and one fine day I got to know that I was selected.
Uh, if anybody has a question in the viewers, they can put it forth in the chat section. Okay, we have a question from Aryan Dev. He wants to know if what if your dreams might be different from your passion, and if that's the case, what should we choose?
Uh, but I'm just trying to uh, understand this question. If your dream is different from your passion, I think you tend to dream about something that you are really passionate about. If you're passionate about it, you dream about it. So I think these two are interconnected. I'm not very certain if these two are different uh, because my passion was certainly teaching, and my dreams were also around becoming a teaching professional. So I'm not very certain if these two could be different because I feel like these two are quite interlinked.
Aryan, would you like to clarify that? Is that what you meant by your question? You can turn on your mic and ask him personally.
So hi, very good evening. So basically, my question was like, if your dream is different from your passion, like I'm also an engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer, and my dream was to like be a successful, whether it be any sector, but yes, my passion is into paintings and designings, right? So I chosen from engineering background to the rural management department, so rural management course, and now I'm pursuing the same thing. So whenever I think about like my passion is towards designing field and I'm doing something social work and I have done my BTech engineering which is totally technical. So I am like in different sectors every moment, like every time I'm shifting my zone, my area like to different things. So I'm a bit confused that what should I choose so that I can get the most of success towards running towards my passion, running towards my dream or running towards whatever I have pursued.
Well, so this is how I define it, Aryan. Thank you for the question. So, in my opinion, when you do something for hours together without getting disturbed, without getting bored, and you don't mind spending 4, 5, 6 hours together on something, and you enjoy doing it, then that is your dream and that's your passion. That's something that you should do, is what I'd say. And so, if designing or drawing, painting is your dream that you could keep doing for a long time without getting bored, and that makes you feel good, I think you should do that. And all you need to do is figure out a way in which you could convert that into a financial, you could convert that into an income generating source as well, because that's important. Until you are able to convert that into an income generating source, uh, do test it, experiment with it, to see if you are able to generate income sticking to your current job, which is actually feeding you. Every opportunity is a golden opportunity. So it's helping you in some way. Though I did not like my IT job earlier, I still value it because it has helped me to survive almost 3 years of my life, and that has kept me moving towards the goal that I had.
We have another question from Kushal Maurya. What is the mission that drives you beyond English?
Well, Kushal, good question. What I have always felt is I should make language learning enjoyable for the students. That has always been my motivation, and adults often feel more intimidated by language than children. CELTA stands for Certificate in English Language Teaching to Adults. So predominantly I teach adults, though now I am learning to teach young learners as well. The only objective is to make language learning more enjoyable for kids. I feel that that brings them more confidence because of so that these are the interlinked factors related to English that motivates me to continue in this profession, making them confident, making language learning enjoyable for the students, and also like, after some classes when students come and tell me that before attending your classes, I used to be very intimidated about speaking to an audience, or when someone spoke to me in English, I was hesitating to reply earlier. But now I'm able to do it. Even if I'm making mistakes, I'm not afraid of speaking in English. So these are some factors that help me to get better, that motivate me to continue in this profession.
Thank you, Balaji. Rahul Pahuja has a question. Uh, would you like to share the differences in your work schedule between then when you were an engineer and now?
So when I was an engineer, I had a rotational shift. So every month, my shift would change from afternoon shift to night shift, and then night shift to afternoon, afternoon to night, and occasionally early morning shifts. So this is how my working hours were when I was an engineer. And then when I started working as a communication coach in the corporate, my schedules were a little more different. Monday to Tuesday, it was a different working hours. Thursday and Friday, it was different working hours because the people whom I trained, the engineers whom I trained, worked for different projects, and I had to meet them when they had their working hours. So that's how it was. And then, as a once I started working as a language teacher, all Saturdays and Sundays are working days. That's one challenge. So when you really get what you badly wanted to, you will have to sacrifice a few things. And one of those factors which I had to sacrifice was is the weekends. So all Saturdays and Sundays are definitely working days because that's when language schools get students, maximum number of students are willing to attend classes on weekends. So we get our week offs on other days, and that's the major difference. And so here, working hours are a little different. You get your working hours are calculated based on the number of hours you teach, but then there's a lot of time that is involved in the preparation as well. Uh, we happily do that because that motivates us.
Uh, what can one expect when one takes the lead?
Uh, ready for all kinds of surprises. So I mentioned that after doing Celta, it was quite an intensive course. So I thought, now I know a lot. I'm going to get a job immediately, and obviously I didn't get a job for 3 months. So be ready for surprises, and all you need to do is consistently try. Consistency is more important. So if uh, now technology has opened a lot of things, even if you're not getting opportunities, start something of your own. Start updating your tips or whatever you want to share on YouTube or a Facebook group. These ways, you need not wait for an opportunity to knock your door. You can start giving the inputs, and the opportunities will start knocking your doors. So what happened with me was I started sharing tips related to English on a WhatsApp group. It started with around 200 people, and now there are around 750 people in three different WhatsApp groups who receive tips related to English. But what I do is I ensure that I send one of these tips every day. The consistency is what matters the most, and I have been able to do it for the past 2 years. So this in turn has generated a lot of goodwill for me. So I did not expect anything. I just wanted to share whatever I knew and motivate people to learn English. And I wanted to do it in such a way that people get only 2 minutes uh, to spend on reading these messages every day, but then they get to learn something. That is how it started, and that have been a couple of people who got to know me through these WhatsApp groups, and they approached me and asked me for sessions. Some of them asked me for one-to-one sessions. Some of them asked me to conduct sessions for their organizations, and this way, a whole new world of opportunities opened up to me because I started giving out the knowledge that I had, and whatever I wanted to do, I started doing before any opportunity came my way. So if you start sharing things on all possible online platforms, you will eventually find your clients or your stakeholders easily.
Thank you. Ravi Kumar has a question he would like to ask you personally.
Yeah. Hi, hi Balaji. How are you doing?
I'm doing
So,
good, Ravi.
so I'm part of your WhatsApp group of tips to excel in English language. So my question to you is that we have heard about your experience about past and the present. I would like to know about the future where a lot of technology coming in, a lot of automation coming in, there are a lot of disruptions happening in education industry as well. In that case, what do you think? And on the moreover, the whole world is shrinking. People are coming closer, and one global language, one common language is English. So, what do you think are the opportunities and the challenges you see for yourself, which you would like to share?
Uh, well, there are lots of opportunities. So today, many classes are happening on Zoom and various other online platforms, and kids are also getting used to these platforms. So I believe it's going to open a new world of opportunities. It's going to save time for a lot of people and resources. So if you want to book a place to conduct a session, then it could cost a lot for you. But then if you could do it online, then you need not make that investment to book a venue. So that way it could reduce your income and reduce your traveling time and increase the opportunities. The challenges, yes, all of us are quite afraid of changes sometimes. So we may have situations wherein people are not ready to take online classes, they are resistant to it, These could be some of the common challenges. And regarding the internet, the students may have bandwidth constraints, and those kind of challenges could arise. And you will not be a person who is uh, conducting sessions only for people in a particular locality anymore because of the online classes. You will be teaching for the whole world. Now, if you are teaching audience, the students from across the globe, then you will have to be sensitive to the needs of all the people from different parts of the world, because some places they barely speak English. So for them, we will have to teach them in a different style. There could be some students who come from a background where they speak English but as a second language. So for them, we'll have to take a different approach. And if these two students are together in a particular class, the teacher needs to come up with an innovative way in which everyone could uh, make use of the classes effectively. So these are some of the challenges that could come up as a result of this.
Thank you, Balaji. After this, we'll take 3 to 4 more questions. I would like to ask Kushal to ask his question.
Hello.
Yes, Kushal, please go ahead.
Hi, Balaji. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
I'm just motivated listening to your mission. So, I'm curious to know that English as a language is a major struggle among the students, especially belonging to underprivileged section and rural areas, right? So, and as an NGO, we also try to help them, facilitate them to learn them. But there is also struggle from our side as well as from their side. So, throughout your career, has there been any occasion when you created some methods of learning English for a given section of students?
Uh, so we learn different types of teaching methods. So I told you about the learner-centered approach, and we learn how to teach people who are at lower levels. When I say lower levels, it refers to the lower levels of proficiency in the language. So if they are beginners or elementary level students, there are certain methods to teach them without using any word in the regional language. We can contact offline later. I would be happy to conduct an online session because I have a lot of time now. So if you and your counterparts are interested in knowing more about the teaching methods, I would indeed be glad to share some of the methods that I am aware of, and you could try it with your the children whom you teach or the students whom you teach, and I hope it will be useful.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
We will surely connect.
Great.
Tirumala Babu has a question. Uh, uh, After 3 years, if you find some other passion within you, what would you do? As a family man, you can't experiment at a time. So, what are your suggestions for that?
So yeah, I am in a way glad that Kurumala believes I would, what do I say? I will be married in 3 years. So, yes, as a family man, you may have to think 10 times if you thought only once about taking a risk when you are a bachelor. I would completely agree with that point. But then our intention is what matters. And if we really want to do something, all we need to do is figure out a way to do it without disturbing or without affecting the time we spend with family, without affecting the income that we generate. find a way to work around it, and that is how we would be able to achieve it. And if necessary, we will certainly have to. At the end of the day, it's the family that supports you in all times of crisis. So I'm very sure the family would certainly understand if I want to try something different, and I take calculated risk. So yes, follow the heart, but don't forget the brain. That's the rule for all situations, whether you're single or whether you're married. So yes, and I would like to mention that Trumula has been a great pillar of support for my sessions. The person who has been designing the posters for most of my programs, for all of my programs, in fact, has been Trumula. Thanks a lot for your wonderful work and for your continued support, Trumula.
Pleasure was all mine, Balaji. Thanks so much. Thanks for giving the opportunity.
Thank you, Trumula.
We have Pragyan Tripathi with a question.
Mhm.
He wants to know. Many students find it difficult to approach the mentors or teachers as they seem to be very intimidating, even though they're passionate about learning something. So, what changes could such a student bring in himself or herself to approach without getting intimidated?
Okay, so the person could possibly, if the person is quite intimidated about approaching the teachers, the student can either write to the teacher over an email or a message, if that works. Another way is you need not. Once upon a time, we used to think books are the source of knowledge. That's the best way to learn. But today we have online sources, we have videos, we have audio files, so many sources from which we learn. Similarly, it's not only from the teacher that a student gets to learn. The whole purpose of conducting group classes is that the students get to learn from each other. Peer learning is always a lot more effective. They could discuss with their peers related to regarding any questions that they have, and peer learning could always be more effective. And Yeah, that's one of the solutions that I could suggest for such a student. And this is one of the most important elements that I have learned from my certification, that promote peer learning as much as you can. So we never tell students that I asked the question to only one student, why are the rest of you answering? Because that's exactly what we want them to do. And if we see a discussion at a particular group wherein one person agrees, another person disagrees, and they have a good discussion, we wouldn't say that all of you should agree with the same thing. We are happy to know that they are able to use the language to agree and disagree. This is how the type of language learning that I have learned really works. Promote peer learning.
Okay, thank you, Balaji. We'll take one last question from the audience. Pravati has a question. When you don't have any source, support, and time for your passion because you're doing other work, how would you manage working towards your passion?
Uh, Good question. So, if I have to talk about not having enough time, I worked in night shifts, so I slept during the day, and so I could not get enough sleep. And so I had 10 hours of work, then I had these issues of not being able to sleep properly. And I had been an active member in Toastmasters. I tried to attend as many sessions as possible. I learned music for around 2 years. Uh, and in spite of which, I made time to uh, follow my passion. So it uh, it's something that we'll have to figure out how to do this, how to make time for your passion. If it's really our passion, then we make time for it. For example, I have known people uh, who had who had a 1 year old baby at home. And you can imagine how busy the baby would have kept the parents. But the person was working, they were taking care of the baby, and at the same time, she was able to learn music and attend all the classes regularly because she was passionate about music. So I think the answer is make time.
Okay, before concluding the session, I would like to ask you one last question.
Mhm.
What are the three insights that you wish to convey to our dreamers who have dared to dream, who are daring to dream now?
Okay, so three points that I would like to tell them. Um, so I think I'm very sure all of you have heard this a lot. Do not worry about failures. Failures are a part of this. Success is is a result of a number of failures that you have faced. All that is true. But what I would say is try until you succeed. Uh, so that's a very important point. Try until you succeed without losing your enthusiasm. And it's not a crime if you're feeling low, if you're feeling down when you're not able to achieve it, you're not cracking a particular interview. So, what matters is how soon are you able to get back and start preparing once again. One of my students has been preparing for the Indian Air Force examination for a couple of years. She has attempted several times, and what matters is as soon as she gets to know that she did not clear the exam, she feels very low. But in a matter of less than an hour, she would have started preparing for her exam again. I think that is a very, very important factor. So consistency is extremely important. So give the best of your content for free. I am taking this from Douglas Kruger's lecture. Douglas Kruger is a person who once won the second place in the World Championship of Public Speaking, and he is known for his books and programs like Own Your Industry. So on YouTube, you will find his 1 hour talk, which is titled Own Your Industry. And in that, he says, give your best content for free. Tony Robbins is a famous, a very renowned trainer, but this person you can find a lot of his sessions on YouTube. So they are available free of cost. In spite of which, people invite him and pay him a lot for his training programs. So make your best content available for free. That will attract more clients for you. So if there is another point that I would like to stress, then I would say that this do not wait for success because success knocks your door at a moment when you least expect it. It would have become a process for you when success knocks your door. It wouldn't really matter too much to you actually when you uh, finally get what you wanted to, because you had already started doing enough of what you wanted to do, and at that time the opportunity knocks your door and you just take it up. So the whatever you wanted to achieve is something that falls on your lap when you least expect it. Uh, that is what I would like to tell you. So Be consistent, give your best content for free. Do not wait for success. Try until you succeed.
Thank you. Over to Mr. Vinish to conclude the session for today.
Thank you very much, Neha. You have been a wonderful host.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. So, Balaji, it was very interesting, insightful discussion. I have noted down a couple of points which I just wanted to call out because I felt these were very important points that I learned from you today. Your passion is something beyond money and salary, and money follows. I mean, that was very insightful. Another thing that I noted is your previous job can be a stepping stone for your success story. Very insightful. The next point I noted down is we question our capabilities at many instances of our time. I mean, whenever we are making this giant leap, so we question our capability. That was another point that I noted. Perseverance, mission matters. Be ready for surprises. And priority is what we need to really look at. That is, I mean, how we prioritize our things. That's where we become really successful. And I also heard you touching a psychological concept known as flow. That is, flow is something that you start doing something and you realize that you have been spending say 4 5 hours and you did not realize you had spent so much time on it. So that is a very interesting psychological concept, and it is popularized by Mike Csikszentmihalyi. So that's a very interesting concept for us to measure whether we are passionate about something or not. If I am passionate about something, then I will not realize that I have spent so much time on something. So these are the main points that I noted down, and it was very insightful for all of us. You sharing your journey, and thank you for sharing your experience.
Thanks a lot, Vinish. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much for this opportunity as well. I'm very glad that I could share these experiences and answer the questions to some of the dreamers whom we have today. And I'm sure they would be more than glad to pursue their passion. Uncertainty is a part of life, everyone's life now. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, be ready for surprises, but nothing can stop you if you're determined. Thanks a lot, Bunish and Neha.
Yes.
It has been really wonderful.
Before I close the session, I really want to thank all the dreamers out here. I mean, this was our first session, and I'm really surprised that we have lots of people who are dreamers. I mean, that means that there is lots of uh, people who really want to do something different and they want to follow their dreams. And I think this could be a really amazing platform for all the dreamers. And I'm happy because um, I would be able to at least instigate or put some thought in at least a few people to think different. And I think that's the whole idea or the whole concept of having this DYDcafé. So I'm very happy that we have so many participants in this session, and I hope that we'll be able to achieve the purpose of this particular forum in the days that comes in the future. Thank you all. We will have the next session. We'll be publishing the dates. We hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And to all the participants, wonderful questions. Thanks a lot for coming up with very meaningful and useful questions. I'm sure it would have helped many others as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks all. Bye.